Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, you're most welcome. My name is Yongo and this is Yongo's Mixed Guide, where I do my best to give experience-based advice related to the mixed embassy track, specifically scholarship for master students specifically. But of course, if you're a PhD applicant or maybe even an undergrad and you found these videos helpful, well and good. So this is the fifth video in the series, and today we'll be talking about requesting for provisional acceptance. So in my introduction, before I go into the main bit of the video, I just want to say if you're watching this, then it means you've gotten your results of the first screening stage, which is the document screening, the test, and the interview, and you passed, which means the embassy has sent you back your documents and they've been stamped, and you've probably also, definitely rather, also received a certificate saying that you've passed the first screening of mixed embassy track. To which I say, congratulations, it's a big win. I can imagine how anxious some of you may have been as you waited, but you got through the wait and here you are. So as you take the next steps, be sure to celebrate the one that you've just gotten through successfully. Of course, staying grounded in the reality that you've still got um, steps to overcome, but that you should use it as a means of feeling confident in what you're able to do next, and the likelihood that you'll get through. So let it also be said, though I think this is, you may already know this as an applicant, but at this point you're not a mixed scholar yet. However, that passing certificate from the embassy greatly increases your chances. The reason why I'm not just saying that it's a guarantee is because any number of things could, at this stage of requesting for provisional acceptance, um, if you're not able to do that within the required time, then that would mean you won't get the scholarship. You won't be able to go on to the second screening stage, which is something we'll talk about in a later video at length. But let's have positive thoughts. At least I'm here to tell you that despite it not being guaranteed, it does greatly improve your chances to have that certificate of passing the first screening from the embassy in your country. So without further ado, let's get right into the video, which is going to largely cover tips for emailing professors. But first, I'm going to take us to the application guidelines document that I've been encouraging you guys to constantly refer back to at every stage that you clear during this process. So let's just head back there and read through under the requesting for provisional acceptance segment. So we're here at we're here to have a look at the document. So these are the application guidelines, and we are looking at the section 11, which is request of provisional acceptance and submission of a placement form. So part of this video will also be me talking a bit about that placement form, of which we've had a chat about it in the previous videos, because you did actually submit it in the first screening stage, but you're going to, as I've mentioned actually even before, that you're going to you may end up submitting something that looks a little bit different from what you submitted in the first place. Okay, so let's go through the points briefly. So as I've already mentioned, the provisional acceptance letter, actually haven't mentioned this. I was referring to the first screening passing certificate. But in this case, they're talking about the letter that they require you to request at this stage will greatly also influence final selection results. So you really need this letter if your selection results are going to be, like the chances of you being selected after second screening, for them to be much higher. You really need this letter of provisional acceptance. And applicants may actually be rejected if you don't have that letter. So as you pass the first screening, you should ask the university that you wish to attend. So I'm sure the embassy wrote back to you with some links maybe, or contact emails for the university that you listed in the first placement form that you submitted. Okay. So you are then going to contact those universities by this date here, August 25th, 2023. So now this date that they've given is the date this date that they've given um, is the date that you mustn't, like, before this date you have to have at least contacted a number of universities and hopefully gotten feedback from them. Some you may be rejected, some you might find that the professors are fully booked, all the spaces in their research labs are taken up, or maybe just the research that you are interested in and theirs, they feel that maybe they disagree that it aligns so well, even though you might. So all those things come into play, but at the very least you should have gotten in touch with those universities before the August 25th. Hopefully by August 25th, maybe some have even written back to you saying they will issue you the letter. But even if they don't send you that letter before August 25th, as long as you can send the embassy some proof that you have been corresponding with them and they will send a letter eventually, then even if you don't get the letter by August 25th, at least you'll still be in the clear, because after August 25th, you are not allowed to contact any universities. Okay. Yeah. So you can fill in up to 3 universities in your placement preference form when you send it back. When you send back your revised version of the placement preference, if it does change, you can fill in up to 3, but you can only, and please take note of this, you can only get up to 2 letters of provisional acceptance, of which if you manage only 1, that's still fine. That's still okay, guys. Don't fret. But if you manage 2, that's okay. Don't go requesting for a third one, which means in my case personally, I just take it that I would just put two options there, the same 2 letters if you get 2 letters of provisional acceptance. And what is the letter of the project provisional acceptance? This is just a letter from the university that you want to attend, and assigned by the professor who has agreed to supervise your work, acknowledging that they will in fact be your supervisor when you come, or rather when you come, as if I'm there, when you go to Japan. And that's an official documentation that you have to send back to your embassy together with a revised placement preference form, including the schools that you want to go to and the lecturers that have sent you those same letters of provisional acceptance. So the provisional acceptance is not, in some cases, it varies from program to program from what I'm seeing and what I personally experienced. But the letter of provisional acceptance, in some cases, is not this. It's not, as far as I'm concerned, it's not the same as an admission letter to the school. It's just the lecturer, the professor, that has agreed that I'm going to supervise this person. And then that letter, plus your passing certificate from the embassy, will influence the results of your second screening and also your admission to university. So it's like you're on a quest. My gamers out there, I'm not a big gamer myself, but I'll use this analogy because I watch anime. Yeah. Imagine you're the anime MC on a quest, and you've got, or on an adventure, and you've got a final destination that you're heading to, but you need to level up, and each item that you collect at certain stages of leveling up will increase your chances of getting to the final destination. But those items alone do not guarantee you a place at the final destination. Does that make sense? Yes. So we've already talked about this issue of the dates, the deadline, and whatnot. Just please take note of this. In case my explanation is not clear, just come back to this document and read again. So there are some documents that the schools that you can initially send to the schools in your when you initially contact them, using the links that the embassy would have sent you, or the links that you may have found on your own when you go out onto the school websites. And look for contact information, especially if they've got already an international students division or something like that. Yes. So the documents are basically the documents that you'll initially send to them are basically the ones that you get back from the embassy that have been stamped with the embassy seal. Please don't forget your certificate of passing the first screening in that initial email you send, unless, of course, there are other instructions, because the instructions do differ. In some cases, you may be required to contact the schools directly. When you get in touch with the school, the admissions office, they might just ask you to directly contact the lecturers, or you may be required to go through some application of some sort. Things vary, but the point is just you get in touch with them, you follow the guidelines that they give you after that, and then these are the documents that are coming back from that you submitted to the embassy in the first place anyway. When writing to the professors, which is what the rest of this video will be about, tips regarding writing to the professors, right? If you make reference to any other achievements that are relevant to pushing your or presenting yourself in the best way, in the most competitive way, you should attach those documents that you're referring to as well, other than these. I think that's a point that I can mention on that one. And then please also take note of this point here, that you must constantly be reporting responses from the universities that you get in touch with, positive or negative. The reason why this was important for me, let me give a practical example, is in the initial stages, the school that was first on my list, or in terms of priority, actually got back to me with negative feedback, and I sent that information to the embassy. And then I think the next lecturer I tried at a different school also got back to me with negative feedback, and I shared that with the embassy, and they called me and assured me that they would send me some more contacts for different universities. So I think the point is just that they want to know how things are going, so that if there's anything they can do to help, maybe extra contact information that you've not managed to find, they can assist you with that. So please make sure you keep corresponding. Whatever feedback you get, keep the embassy in loop. Yeah. And then this last point here is just about you making sure you are well aware of the term of arrival, because it could vary. It varies between April term or October term. So just be mindful of that. Read through as much as possible on the program that you are interested in. Okay, guys, let's move on now. Now that we've read through this section together, let's move on to the tips that I have prepared for you regarding how to write to the professors. Writing to the school, yeah, you just present your case, say, oh, this and that. I passed my names are this and that. I passed the first screening. I would like guidance on what to do next and whatnot. But so now, in the event that the next thing they tell you to do is contact the professor on your own, let's get into that stage of the video where I would do my best to give the tips that I was given and that I think really helped to create structure an email that was, that highlighted and communicated what it needed to put me in the best position for acceptance. Okay. All right, guys, so here we are. This is a sample email that I prepared based off of the very email that I wrote, and I am willing to share this sample email. Those of you that wish for this particular document, just, I don't know if it might make your work easier to have it on hand rather than just seeing it from the video. Just, you can DM me on Instagram. I'm going to leave my Instagram handle in the description, but it's paperheart. Just search for paperheart98. Yeah, and you can send me a request and I can directly message you. Yes. Okay, with this document. So let's go through it now. So you're basically going to start with dear Professor so-and-so. You obviously will know their name. These are just the salutations, general salutations within these lines. It doesn't have to be, I hope this email finds you well. You can word it how you wish, but as long as, within the lines of just acknowledging that, it's just a courtesy thing, I think. And then you introduce yourself. This first paragraph is basically about introducing yourself, your name, your most recent academic achievements, or most recent academic qualifications. If you were an undergrad, if you are an undergrad like I was, a recent undergrad like I was, or you are expected to graduate, then basically whatever applies. You mention that and the name of the school that you're graduating from. Also include professional or academic achievements that you've made so far. Yeah, and include links or very brief, very brief explanations of the awarding organization of those academic achievements. Let's say you graduated best in your class, you fix in a link there, because if you just say you graduated best in your class, at least try to find a way of making your statement credible. It's like including citations in a research paper, just so that the professor, you mustn't assume that your professor knows the awarding body that gave you your award for graduating best in your class or whatever. Then if the next paragraph basically has to do with talking about how like giving the professor confidence that your studies and your stay in Japan will be funded, whether it's personally or through embassy track, which is the case for you guys who are watching this video right now, right? So you need to mention that you've passed the first screening stage, and then give information about what the scholarship covers. So that's in the guidelines. You get that information from the guidelines. You just mention that it covers tuition, it covers examination fee, tuition, entrance fee, and you'll be given an allowance. And that gives you the confidence and them the confidence that you'll be able to finance your studies, because they don't want to accept people whose financial situation or ability to finance themselves is not clear, because then it kind of puts some unwritten pressure on them to like worry about what you do for finances. They don't want to be under any kind of pressure to worry about that, right? So highlight a bit about the funding, and this is helpful for even those that are not doing mixed. If you happen to be watching this video but maybe you're applying for some other scholarship and you're writing it to a professor, it does help to clarify the state of your finances, how you're funding yourself or how you are being funded. Then in the next paragraph, you can talk about previous work experience or work engagements, and refer to attached recommendation letters or certificate of employment from your employers, which should be attached in the email, right? Then even highlight your strengths at this point that were relevant to maybe the work experience that you had or that you built in your previous work experience or your previous study experience or any other extracurricular experience that may have helped you gain some skills or build certain attributes that look attractive. Of course, don't sell yourself for what you aren't, but if in previous in work engagements you were pushed to think quickly, learn quickly, to lead, maybe you were in a leadership position of significance, maybe you were in a management position as a recent graduate, and you were given the opportunity to be in a management position, you highlight such strengths here, and yeah, they should at least be linked in relation to your future study plans. Maybe if it's research ability or research ability or any skills that are related to your future study plans. And then in the next paragraph, you can talk about the fact that you've taken time. So now that you've introduced yourself, your previous achievements, how you hope to be funded because you've passed the first screening of mixed, previous work engagements or previous extracurricular engagements that have built certain attractive skills related to your study. Then you talk about now them, basically. You shift from them to you, because now from you, you shift from yourself to them, and you talk about what makes, like, you try to build a bridge between why the attributes you have would tie into, like, the attributes and research interests that you have would link and fit in well with them, because that will also affect the chances for them to accept you. Yeah. So to do that, you can do it by taking some time to look at the potential supervisor's previous work and mention that in your email, and even attach some links, link them to current study goals, and attach links showing a particular item that caught your attention from their work, just to show that you've taken some time to really look at what they've been up to, I think it's something that even you, if someone was reaching out to you, it would as an academic, you would appreciate it if this person has taken time to appreciate your work and then create a link between why what they are interested in fits in so well with what you're interested in, right? Then proceed to, in the next paragraph, you can proceed to describe your study plan very briefly, very briefly. So you remember the abstract of your study plan or the introduction of your study plan. Now condense it again into a brief statement in a way that sells key points, and then humbly seek acceptance from them to supervise your work. Indicate that you are open-minded and willing to further refine the study as need be to work with them, because in as much as you've got your study plan, that study plan, I think, was a way of just showing that this person has direction. But when you get there, in reality, there are certain things that maybe your potential supervisor may wish to um, consider that you didn't consider in your study plan. So you have to show that flexibility to take direction from them and not be too rigid. Showing that you have a plan is important. Showing that you want to climb, go up, like showing that you want to get from the bottom to the top is important via the plan. But let the plan not be a ladder. Let it be like a tree. Let it have branches, and you need to have the flexibility to go up in the you go move in the upward direction through various channels as per their guidance. Okay, so in the next paragraph, you can then talk about, because now that you've created a link between you and them by showing that you've taken a bit of time to, and by the way, you don't have to read all their work word for word, because you are strapped for time, I imagine. Personally, what I did, I was encouraged that if you are strapped for time and you really, if you can, that's all well and good. But if you are strapped for time like I was at the time, what I recommend you do is look up their work on the university websites, because the universities do have the contacts of the supervisors, of the lecturers and the staff and the faculty, and even maybe links to the research that they've done. And if there are maybe even few links to the research that they've done, you can Google them on Google Scholar just to see if anything that isn't on the website pops up, just for you to have. Because maybe you may see a program that you like, you see a professor that you like, but you really want to just drive the point home that what you are interested in and what they've done, it really is linked in some way. And so on the school website, maybe it's all in Japanese or something, or you don't see much. You can still go to Google Scholar, check out Google Scholar and try to look them up there. Or you just move on to another faculty member in the same program. So yeah, you look up their work, and once you've done that, it will also give you an idea of certain organizations that maybe they've worked with or are affiliated to, and you need to now highlight what the benefit is to them, because obviously they know that it will benefit you for them to supervise you. But is there can you think of a way to present a benefit to them, for instance, in the form of having, once you've got an idea of the work that they've done, can you try to look for any organizations maybe within your country or in the region, in your region or in their region, that are conducting similar research, but we have similar research values or interests, but that your professor has not yet tapped into. You can present yourself as a conduit for that professor to collaborate with those organizations or tap into their their the work that they're doing. Okay, so yeah, if there are established organizations conducting work related to your study, highlight them as well to show potential for collaboration between the professor and those organizations. Include some links for proof. Yeah, so that's another. That's basically what I said, but I decided to read it out just to make the thought coherent, because my words were all over the place. Anyway, next paragraph, you can then finally express gratitude for their time and consideration. This is important. It's just part of courtesy. And on a positive and hopeful note, for example, I'm grateful in advance for your time and consideration, and I look forward to hearing from you. I'm hopeful for a positive response and would be honored to join, insert the lab or professor's research group. Please find attached other relevant documents for your perusal. And those relevant documents are the ones that are listed basically that we talked about in the first half of the video when we were reading through the application guidelines under requesting provisional acceptance. But basically, I list them here. But this is pretty much what I was talking about anyway. Anything else to back up any other statements you've made in your email about yourself and your work other than that list of documents, right? So I'm going to read through what the actual email that I sent looks like in this very video. I think it's not going to take too long, so I'll just skim through it real quick, just to show you what everything that we've talked about would look like in an actual email, if that will help. Okay, here goes. So the email reads as follows. Dear Professor so-and-so, I hope this email finds you well. My name is Yongo Salasini, a recent food science and technology graduate from the University of Zambia and a recipient of the CSO Scaling Up Nutrition Alliance Award for Best Graduating Student in my degree program. The award is presented by the civil society organization Scaling Up Nutrition Alliance in Zambia, which offers a multi-sectorial response to address nutrition-related challenges in the country. You see that brief, and inclusion of a link just in case they wish to see what the awarding body is about. Then I am an applicant for the Monbukagakusho Mixed Scholarship. You mentioned the type of scholarship. Don't assume that they just know. I think it's best to, yeah, they should know, but I think it's best to, spell it out. Yeah, you can just say that for the Monbukagakusho Mixed Scholarship and have successfully passed the first screening stage conducted by the Japanese Embassy in Zambia, which covers tuition, transport, and upkeep. Currently, I am an apprentice in the Quality Assurance and Food Product Development Department at Community Markets for Conservation. You give some detail about it there. And a mentee under the Partners in Food Solutions Mentorship Program, which I was at the time anyway. Please find attached referrals from Assistant Dean of my former university and both organizations where I have demonstrated my capacity to participate actively. Remember that what I said about highlighting your skills? Participate actively. In this case, I chose things that are true to me. Yeah, you can choose things that are true to you. Participate actively, learn quickly, be productive, lead, and apply myself to my work. So you can choose things that, strengths that apply to you. I am also currently working in collaboration with my former undergraduate research supervisors to publish the findings of my study related to the use of edible insects. So the reason why I talked about this bit at the end is because I thought it would tie this paragraph nicely to the next one where I talk about my interests. And rather their interests and then branch into my interests. So in consideration of your emphasis on the need to conduct more basic research on food resources and your enthusiasm with research that combines both technological and social aspects to the science of food, I am humbly seeking provisional acceptance to the Graduate School of Agricultural and Life Sciences International Program in Agricultural Development Studies as a master's student under your able supervision for the year 2023. So you attach a link of maybe what exactly you looked at for you to be saying, oh, this. Me, I generalized because I couldn't find anything related to edible insects that this professor had done. But I could see that, as I said, it was evident on his research lab website that there was research based on basic research on food resources and enthusiasm with research that combines both technological and social aspects to the science of food. And I thought that would link well with what I'm interested in. So for you, if you find something particular, like a particular study, then you can highlight that. For me, I did it like this because I just didn't find nothing related to insects. So my study interest is related to the use of edible insects of Japan and Zambia, such as korogi and finkuvala, as food-based fortificants to improve the nutritional value of maize-based snacks and determine the sensory acceptability of such snacks by the general public or potential target groups. I believe indigenous foods, such as edible insects, can be utilized as vehicles to further relations between the two countries through technological and cultural exchange in the form of creative and innovative publications and exhibitions that can inform specialists in the field, policymakers, and laypeople. I am still willing to adjust my research theme as per your guidance, as the area of edible insects use as functional food ingredients requires further contributions from the scientific community and from a wide range of angles such as sensory acceptability, safety, environmental sustainability, cost effectiveness, socio-economic impact, and product development. It is my hope that the study could lead to collaborations with the food and agriculture. So there you go, collaborations, because I noticed that maybe he's not, I haven't seen much collaboration with FAO amongst his research works. I didn't see him anything to do with knowledge transfer network, which happens to have an interest in promoting edible insects. So that's an avenue for me, who's maybe attended a couple of their seminars. And by the way, it's just literally seminars I attended with under that same knowledge transfer network, that I happen to know that they have interest in edible insects. But it could be that the professor has not heard my potential supervisor, your potential supervisor has not heard of that organization. You could become the link between the two. And that have knowledge transfer network, including the link there, that have demonstrated interest in the promotion of edible insects as a sustainable alternative to conventional protein sources. I am grateful in advance for your time. So this is you closing off and consideration, and I look forward to hearing from you. I am hopeful for a positive response and would be honored to join such and such lab. Please find attached other relevant documents for your perusal. Yours sincerely. You sign off with your name. Okay, we've really gone through that. The sample as well as the actual email. So I'm willing to share the sample document. As for the email, I'm gonna stick to just showing it here. But for the sample document, please feel free to get in touch with me if you'd like me to send that over to you. We'll find a way once we talk about it. You can leave a comment for me in the comment section. So that said, I think the next thing of interest that I wish to talk about regarding writing to the professors is just an emphasis on the time that you send your email. Please ensure that you send your email, you take into consideration the time that the time zones and the time difference between your locality and Japan, and time the sending of your email such that when it reaches Japan, it reaches in the morning. So what I was doing, Japan is I think about like 7 hours ahead of Zambia. So what I was doing is I would schedule my emails to send at like 01, so that by 8 or 7:30 the email reaches. This is important because these people are so busy, and regarding the levels of the degree to which they are so busy, it's important that you do your requests very quickly. In terms of what is within your power, that is, and what's within your power is the first initial email that you send, whether it's to the school to get information on what to do next or directly to the professor. Do it quickly. Don't waste time. This is because they are so busy. You may miss an opportunity in the form of, like, maybe you would have been accepted by a professor, but it's just that he's taken on more students and he can no longer take on any others. So you want to be quick about it. Have a sense of urgency on this one, because it's also there's a deadline that you have to work with. So going back to the time that you send the emails, make sure that you time them such that they reach between at least 7 or 8 in the morning for the professor to probably, it's probability, by the way, there's no guarantee, but just to increase your chances, you do what you can to increase your chances in this process. That's what I can say. So other than that, if there are any other tips or tricks that I have missed regarding emailing professors, I will write them in the description box or in the comment section. And if there are channels that maybe do a better job of explaining this than I have, I will also just keep adding them to the comment section for you guys to check out. That said, I'm wishing you all the very best at this stage. May you present yourself honestly, confidently, clearly, and try to keep a positive mindset when it comes to waiting for feedback. This process, as I have mentioned before, is a test in patience. It's not for the faint of heart. So, but just try your best to be in the now. Once you've done what you need to do, just focus on whatever it is else that you have going on, so that you don't try to watch the pot whilst it boils, because otherwise, trust me, you will be feeling like it's taking forever to boil, and the anxiety will just keep getting worse if you're an anxious person. Yeah, so that was just a little, sign off encouragement from me. And yeah, that brings us to the end of this video. I'll not make it any longer. Otherwise, you've been watching Yongo's Mixed Guide. Thank you so much for your attention thus far. See you next time.